Hello, everyone. Welcome to my Wednesday weekly live stream where I go live every Wednesday talking about voice, music, artist development that is really a lost art in our industry today, and music business and career, and how to really get that creative edge and uh, artist development experience that you really need to stand out in today's marketplace. So, today I'm discussing the 5 vocal techniques to relieve strain in the singing voice. These are topics dear to my heart, as most of you know. A big portion of my career has been teaching vocal technique over many decades in New York City from my studio here. And so today's conversation is really just a start to singing better and to sing with less strain. Just making sure my mic is loud enough for y'all. We're over on YouTube as well, live streaming. But if you really want to experience a transformation, a shift in your voice, and it's totally free. And I did this last year, and it's an incredible. It's called the Better Voice Challenge, and it was a 4-day sequence. We did 4 1-hour workshops. Those are now available to you. And you'll experience firsthand an actual decrease in strain following my brand new cold vocal method release sequences. So sign up for that. Make sure you get that. You'll see it on all the links everywhere. And day 1, we unlock your voice with movement sequences 1 and 2. We do vocal yoga and micro stretches and vocal massages. And these are very little known or used in the world of vocal technique. Day 2, we decrease strain. The cold vocal method movement sequences 3 and 4, breath openers and throat openers that actually build laryngeal resistance and root support in the singing voice. Day 3 is align and anchor. Sequence 5 is alignment in the vocal path and how to actually use your alignment to improve your high notes, to improve your vocal production, to decrease strain. And sequence 6 is anchoring, which is all about root support, how to anchor the laryngeals down into the trunk of the body. And day 4 is expand your sound and resonance. So then sequence 7 is the resonance expanders, and sequence 8 is the range and power expanders. And just understand that this series is developed for you guys and is free for you guys to really go and experience what it feels like when you do these sequences in order and you have an actual release in your singing voice and you can experience more sound with less strain. So isn't that everything? It really is. So go and get a seat in that. You can do it on your own time in the Better Voice Challenge. So let's talk about the 5 vocal techniques to relieve strain in the singing voice. So the key to decreasing and relieving strain in the singing voice starts by addressing the muscles surrounding the instrument and then establishing the correct support for the voice. So the voice is a sophisticated instrument that unattended accumulates tensions as you sing that lead to an increase in strain and decrease in sound and range over time. But that doesn't have to be you. You know, from my studio in New York, I would very often meet with singers in their mid to late 30s, even moving into their 40s and 50s, who were starting to experience a decrease in their range and a decrease in their overall vocal production, early fatigue, all of these things that we don't want to experience, right? Why is it happening? Well, generally, number 1 is incorrect vocal technique and is overusing the throat area, overusing the muscles that surround the singing voice, like the neck muscles and the back of the neck and the chin and the jaw and all of these things that we see untrained or contemporary singers who don't have a great technique using that cause strain over time. And then there's also the aspiring or beginning singer, or even not beginning singer, but singer who's maybe put out a couple records but never really had serious technique, that are, starting to wear out a little bit early, right? And it takes a day to recover from a gig a night of singing instead of an hour like it did originally, right? And these are all signs of deterioration and strain and using the instrument incorrectly. So the top 5 techniques that I'm talking about today are vocal stretches to relieve tension in the voice, vocal massage to relieve strain and tension in the voice that accumulates, relaxing the laryngeal muscles, how to actually sing with more relaxation here, and establishing breath support, which really is the fuel for the voice. And 5 is establishing support in the torso, which is from the collarbones to the pubic bones, pelvis, that area, really how to use that correctly. And you've probably heard all of these things, but are you doing them correctly? Well, you can now. So move through my 8 sequence in my Better Voice challenge so that you can actually experience it for free. But let me go to the content. Let's dive into these 5 secrets, these 5 pieces that are really important. And then what I want to do is I want to open it up for questions. So as you have questions, feel free over on YouTube to put them in the comments anytime. I can see the stream there. And then on Instagram, it goes a little bit faster with people joining. So wait until I open it up for comments. But you can ask me anything today about voice, about songwriting, about artist development, about artist identity, all of these pieces. Okay. So vocal stretches to relieve tension in the voice. So the right vocal stretches, and that involves the neck muscles, that involves the tongue and the jaw, and in particular the back of the neck, which we really need to elongate and open up in order to be able to sing healthfully and hit those higher notes. Okay. So the more that we crunch the back of the neck, the more that we have this forward head or our chin juts forward when we go for that high note. And you'll see singers singing like that. A lot of that too is the microphone and the drama of singing. But in a trained singer, even if they lift, they're not crunching the back of the neck. Okay. For the most part, a really good trained singer, the chin is down for high notes or level. Okay. But we also have a forward head society because of our devices. Our heads are just kind of forward. And then that causes a shortening in the back of the neck, causes tension in the back of the neck because the weight of the head is 10 to 15 pounds. When the head sits over in front of the torso, what muscles are holding the weight of that head over the body? You guessed it, the neck muscles. So the neck muscles go into a constant contraction to handle the weight of the head when it's sitting forward. We want to get the head up and back and the chin level. It doesn't have to be down, just level. So when you're singing that high note, you're not, your head, your chin is down. Okay. So in order to do that, we so many times in session working with a singer, the counterpart I discover that came down to technical issues that were constricting the voice was tension in the throat muscles, the laryngeal muscles, the throat, the sides of the neck, the back of the neck, the tongue, and the jaw. And these tensions, these muscles contract and they shorten and they tighten. And when a muscle's in its tighter or shorter position, you can injure it more easily. And all you have to do, guys, is just put your hands on your neck and then just say something. And notice you hear the raspiness in my voice. All I'm doing is just pressing here. Right. So one of the things I discovered when I studied vocal massage with a student of Ida Rolf, who developed Rolfing, so right to the source, and she worked with a lot of singers in New York City. She's no longer with us, passed many years ago, but I studied massage with her from the point of Rolfing to really understand how to release these deeper tensions inside the voice. And so many times a singer would come in and they'd be having trouble with their voice, and I'd put them down on my massage mat and massage their voice, and literally within, it would probably, a more stubborn situation would take a full hour, but they would stand up and their voice would be back. That's, of course, even with issues like nodules and that kind of thing, because It's relieving the tension there that then is starting to free the voice. And now those tensions accumulate, right? And another one is the high larynx, which I talk about quite a bit. I was just met with a singer last night who sings professionally, and his larynx sits up, and I'm like, well, have you ever done this kind of massage where you're pulling the hyoid bone down, and you're getting up on top of it and pulling the larynx down? And we do that inside my technique right from the get-go. So inside the Singer's Gift vocal warm-ups, I have those vocal massages. So if you want to experience them, drop into the Better Voice Challenge, which you get for free, and then get the Singer's Gift, and you'll start experiencing how to sing with less tension because you'll be practicing these motions. And inside the Better Voice Challenge, I go through the actual sequences to release the throat and the neck and the jaw and the laryngeal muscles. Okay. So that covered 1 and 2. That was the vocal stretching and vocal massage. When a singer sings and performs a show, there is a natural strain and wear and tear on the voice that accumulates. So singing over time without releasing these tensions that are building up. So when you're singing, there's air pressure coming from the lungs hitting the vocal mechanism, and it's how well the vocal mechanism resists that airflow. When you train, you learn laryngeal resistance, you learn also laryngeal compression, but resistance because we're training to keep the larynx in a deeper bed so it can resist that air better, because otherwise it just pushes the throat up and then you get a high larynx from singing over and over again, repeated singing without pulling that down or massaging that or knowing any of that work. It will accumulate over time and it results in a high larynx, and a high larynx sounds unstable in the voice. It causes cracking and breaking and leads to also the loss of vocal range and tone over time because it's pushed up, right? And it's like got a strangled, it's got like kind of a high sound, right? Because it's sitting up there. And professional singers that have never done this work, oh my gosh, you have so much waiting for you as you start to release these muscles. And I've made it free for you. I'm going to say it one more time. In the Better Voice Challenge, it is free and you can experience how to release these muscles. So vocal massage, self-massage is one of the tools that I teach within my cold vocal method that works wonders in restoring the voice along with vocal therapy. So we start with the larynx pull down exercises. You'll find this inside my Singer's Gift warm-ups and inside the Better Voice Challenge. The third one is to relax the laryngeal muscles, right? So, it was interesting, Celine Dion, who spoke about, she recently did another Instagram. Well, of course, she did the documentary. If you haven't seen it, go see it. It's quite remarkable, her transparency and willingness to show, she has this disease called this stiff person syndrome, where your muscles tighten up and spasm. The worst possible thing for a singer, the worst possible thing. And this is something that she can't control, right? She probably has it a little bit under control with some medication, but she does a lot of physical therapy now. And in the movie, she shows all of the things that she has to do to release. And she actually shows an episode that she has of her body spasming and how everything contracts and how painful it is. But on Instagram, she was talking recently about the methods that she's using to try to sing with these new issues and the importance of keeping the throat and laryngeal muscles relaxed during singing. So she trained her whole life to keep those laryngeal muscles relaxed in order to have more control over her voice. And look what happens, right? It's just really devastating to see. But it was incredible that she's determined, to keep the vocal muscles relaxed during singing. You need the support of what I call the torso or the trunk of the body, from the collarbones down to the pelvis and pubic bones. And you really need that fuller, deeper breath into the lower triangles of the lungs that gives you that storehouse of breath that sits underneath what we call the glottis, the opening of the vocal folds. Because once we have that air accumulated there, you can sing so much easier without grabbing the vocal muscles, right? So we need the support of the pectoral muscles. We need the availability. That's why you always say opera singers, with their chests very forward, because the pectoral muscles are the first muscles that anchor the laryngeals. So if you have this air, if you're singing higher, faster, louder, and you're increasing the air breath velocity that's hitting the vocal folds, if you don't have anything that's resisting that or helping your body to resist that increase in air pressure, it all goes to the throat. And then that leads to vocal problems long term. That starts to slowly degrade the voice and create more tension. And then by the time you're in your late 30s, early 40s, if you're singing professionally, you have problems, right? And you don't want that to happen. So you don't want to overuse the throat muscles and ruin your voice, right? So over on the blog, I have some tips for how to deal with that, how to really get that breath going deeper into the lower triangles of the lungs. You really have to move the ribs. It's not just about the abdomen. And inside my Cole vocal method, and if you go to carriecole.com, you can just click on the page title that's called Cole vocal method, and it'll tell you all about the method. And there's a link to learn level 1. So level 1 is inside my self-study 8-module vocal freedom circle. And that's where you really learn the technique when you're ready. But in the meanwhile, really focus on keeping your chin level when you're singing higher notes, and make sure you're getting that deeper breath, right? Because air is about singing is a coordination between air and muscle. And when you muscle and squeeze the voice is when you're using and tightening the throat and using the back of the neck, because in an attempt to get the note out, but that's muscling the voice. When you pull back the muscle, you use the alignment more, and then you develop actual strength in the core muscles of the voice. Then you've got a better balance and you're breathing. You're developing, you're breathing into the lower triangles of the lungs, and you've got that storehouse accumulated of air. Then you're singing more balance between air and muscle, right? And then the voice that's weak is kind of releasing too much air, too breathy, doesn't have enough of a balance either. So number 4, I'm going to open it up for questions soon. So please feel free to put them into the chat. Establishing the right breath support is really important. We talked a little bit about that. There's an exercise on the blog that walks you through it. Establish support in the torso, which we talked a little bit about too. And the thing I didn't put, and there's some alignment, there's an exercise over there on the blog. And the thing that I didn't talk about that Maria is talking about, which is really important, I didn't put it in this particular blog, but I usually do when I'm talking about talking about vocal health as I'm choking, is because I'm talking straight through and not drinking any water. There are so many elements. I mean, the elements of steam, the elements of hydration, the massage is not we talked about, but it's not a luxury for a singer. It's like a professional athlete never getting a massage, never getting their muscles released. The importance of vocal therapy. And inside my vocal therapy, which is taught in level 1 in the Vocal Freedom Circle, is also my vocal rescue kit. So inside that vocal rescue kit are vocal therapy exercises, which actually open the throat and soothe the throat and help restore the voice. And then speaking exercises, because often the speaking voice is ruining the singing voice. And there's techniques for how to have better placement with your speaking voice. And then I have cool downs, which I also have developed a conditioning series that's inside my vocal mastery program that comes after the Vocal Freedom Circle, which is a year-long experience that we start in October to really go to the next level. But the cool downs that Maria is speaking about, so the Cole vocal method is based on vocal science, 40 years of studies in vocal science. And Edward J. Dwyer was the originator of this technique that then I learned from my teacher, who was his student and teacher, and then I formulated it into a method. And one of the most amazing pieces inside this method are the cool downs. And I was talking about cool downs 35 years ago before anyone was talking about them, because these are actually real cool downs. And what he discovered was that when you go to the voice doctor, they have you sing E because the chords pull together the most, and you can see the edges of the folds and if there's any bumps on them or any, any anomalies or any problems. And as they were working in developing the technique, they discovered that singing "gi" with little he's, "gi-he's," um, because the H is the only consonant formed by the vocal folds. It's a little puff of air, and so it's basically continuing to pull the chords together and thinning out the edges of the vocal folds. And this takes the swelling down on the edges of the vocal folds. So these are, those that know this technique is not really out there except for me. My mentor is just still teaching lessons in her 80s, but she hasn't. She didn't formulate it into a method, or it's just through her private sessions. And there's a couple other teachers that studied under our method, but again, they haven't really formulated it like this. So this is really the only place to learn it. And it's inside the Vocal Rescue Kit. I put a small little piece inside the Singer's Gift warm-ups because just to take that inflammation down before you warm up, before you sing. I wanted it a little bit in the warm-ups. So that's kind of the gist of the overview of what I'm talking about today. Of course, I could go on and on and on about it. But if you get a free seat in the Better Voice Challenge and then move on to the Singer's Gift or move on to the Vocal Freedom Circle to learn the method. And like I said, if you go to carriecole.com, click on the Cole Vocal Method page, and you can learn all about the method. It's biomechanical. It's based in vocal science. It doesn't change your sound. It only makes you a stronger singer. It's a phenomenal method, and it can take you all the way to a serious world-class level voice. And I walked that journey myself. I studied for 8 years. And it was incredible. I think at about 5 years of doing the technique, I was astounded. I was literally, and people are astounded. And you'll see even in the Better Voice Challenge, you'll see the comments there. People are like, even in a 4-hour series, they were astounded at the results they felt in their voice. So don't snooze on this. Let's open it up for questions. Let's see. And just to circle back on the cool downs are done after a performance to thin out the edges of the folds and take the swelling down, which is what really helps back-to-back singing, or if you have recording sessions back-to-back or performances back-to-back. Singers that use this technique, I know Carrie Edwards right now I'm training, and she swears by it. I mean, she does sometimes 2 gigs in one day, and she uses these religiously, and she's not only able to get through her gigs, but has no vocal problems. And she tends to have a lot of tension and tightness. It's really saving her. Another student that I work with, artist that I work with, is in the middle of recording her album and using them at the end or the first thing the next day at the top of the warm-up. They can also be used to, again, take the inflammation down. We also have an advanced version of the cool downs, and then I have a whole conditioning series that's part of these e-series to go a little bit deeper on it, to really use as a full warm-up. Let's see. I have a question over here on Instagram. Let's see. Karen is asking me. Karen from India. I usually practice Sargam while driving. It's the Indian equivalent of the Western solfege system. Yes, I'm familiar. I did a little bit of studying with Indian. But the thing about that is that Indian singing is based on scales, right? So you learn these scales and then you can riff on those scales. But if you notice, like, you'll see a lot of heads bobbing and stuff like that, which is really using the back of the neck. And there's not really a vocal health element in the technique of Indian singing. So you could use this Cole vocal method alongside your other studies. That's the great thing about this method, is it works alongside any other technique or any other system that you're using. It's only going to improve. I'm working with an opera singer out of the UK right now who is classically trained for 20 years, and I'm helping her because she does crossover classical and pop, and so I'm helping her really build her chest voice healthfully and blending the registers to create a fuller tone. And she still sees her other singing teachers, so it only works alongside anything else. Garrison says, if you do end up having vocal problems in your mid-30s, are you able to reverse those? Yes, with proper technique and tension. Absolutely. You're not stuck with them. No, 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 no. No, I would do not pass go directly to vocal technique. Absolutely. I would start with a vocal rescue kit and then the singer's gift. Yeah. Trying to reduce further damage. Okay, we were talking about that. Yeah, absolutely. I do offer virtual sessions. I do. And we have a sale going on right now that you'll save 30%. So I recommend you start with a vocal analysis session, which is a 30-minute. And you can send me, if you have anything recorded, you can send it ahead of time. I will listen ahead of time. Or you can sing for me live, or we can just discuss and I can give you analysis. I can take you through some vocal exercises and give you an analysis of your voice. However you want to do it is good with me. I've been teaching for 40 years, so I've heard everything and have been through every possible scenario with a voice. And this method is phenomenal, so don't sleep on it. Any other questions while we're still here? Strain is inevitable in a working singer. And that's why this subject is so dear to my heart and so important, because I think it becomes the thing as a professional singer that is the challenge, right? Is how to stay vocally healthy, how to have the technique under you that you can have longevity. I'm going to be talking about longevity next week. I started writing the blog about that because I wanted to talk more about vocal health and longevity. We'll be talking about that next Wednesday as well in more depth. So come and join us every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern. And if you miss any of it, all of the live streams are archived, are recorded. They're recorded live over on YouTube. So I don't post them on Instagram anymore because they're sitting on YouTube. So go over there and you can find all the past live streams. There's quite a catalog over there. So if you come in late and you missed it, you can go over to YouTube and just click on the live page and you'll see it. Any other questions? Yes, beautiful. Well, thank you for joining me today. As I said, vocal health is a real passion of mine, and keeping singers healthy became something I really specialized in because of my understanding of, holistic health and natural health. Also addressing the emotional pieces, which is a part of the whole holistic view of the singer, the ecosystem. So we address that as well. But fundamentally and foundationally, it's the technique that you sing from. If you're singing from your throat, over time, it's going to degrade. It's going to decrease. But if you start then training in technique, you can start in your mid-30s, in your late 30s, in your early 40s. Carrie Edwards, well, she, is around that time in her life. And we're totally revamping her technique and the way that she sings. So there's no limit on age for turning the voice around and learning the correct method. So don't let that hold you back. Absolutely. Any other question before I head out? It's a great group today. Yes. All right. All right. Well, it looks like everybody has got the information they need, unless somebody is typing right now, frantically trying to get in a last question. Where do I find the singer's gift under the Better Voice Challenge? So you have to go to the main carriecole.com. Let me just put the singer's gift in here. Yeah, it's not in the Better Voice Challenge. Hang on. Here is the actual link. Here's the singer's gift, Marie. I'm putting it over on YouTube. That's a great starting point. And we have a sale going on right now. So that sale is reflected on that page. You can also, we have a 30% sale that just opened up today because today is World Voice Day. It's Empower Your Voice Day. So we have a sale going on for the next 4 days at 30% off. and I'm just putting that link in the chat for you if you go to the shop. So if you're interested, I would get oh, it didn't really come across as a main. Well, I think you can click on that. If you're really struggling with vocal fatigue and hoarseness and the voice and losing your higher notes and you're not recovering from gigs as much, go and get the Vocal Rescue Kit. If you're looking for a really good warm up that also has the massage techniques, get Singer's Gift warm ups. If you're looking to really be serious about your career, then get the Vocal Freedom Circle. I think right now it's on sale for $497. It's normally, I think, $1297. It's an 8-module course that has my entire cold vocal method in it. It comes with the Singer's Gift, the Vocal Rescue Kit, and the master vocal exercises, which are not for sale individually, which is really the bulk of the cold vocal method. That's where we really develop the tone and the overtone series and the range in the middle of the voice and all of those things. And then it also has fundamental exercises in it. I think it's 75 exercises on audio and video that you get yours to keep when you buy the Vocal Freedom Circle. So let me just put that in here as well. So, but you can buy the Singer's Gift and the Vocal Rescue Kit independently. And when we have these sales, I think they're $67 or something like that. But the Vocal Freedom Circle, if you want the full level 1 cold vocal method, then that's inside the Vocal Freedom Circle. And that's an online self-study, 8-module course that comes with the cold vocal method level 1, which is the foundation of everything. And that will turn your voice around. And it comes with a free monthly call with me on Zoom. So we meet every month. Everyone from the Vocal Freedom Circle meets every month. And you can ask me questions live and we can brainstorm right there. So thank you. Thank you, Nyango. And thank you so much. The products will apply to an alto or a soprano range or a baritone or a tenor. They're all organized so that they're sitting within that sweet spot for everybody. Yes. Thank you from Germany. I took your online development courses years ago and they laid a fantastic foundation for me. Aww. Our Step Up to the Spotlight Artist Development Program. I know we have so many things, but just in a nutshell, my company is Voice and Music. To me, voice and music are everything. If you can have a great voice without a great song and nothing happens, you can have a great song without a great voice and nothing happens, or vice versa, right? And so those are the foundational elements of your career, and everything that you focus on as an artist needs to be to become the best singer and the best songwriter that you possibly can, because people love great music. And so those two are just the foundational pieces, right? So we have my vocal technique, we have the cold vocal method, and that you can purchase the Singer's Gift vocal warm-ups or the Vocal Rescue Kit if you're having problems with your voice, or you can go into the Vocal Freedom Circle and learn the whole method. And everything is downloadable and streamable, and you have continued access to log in and get everything. And that's a self-study course. Then I have the Step Up to the Spotlight, which is a 6-week self-study. So I have 2 self-study programs. One is Step Up to the Spotlight, which is a 6-week artist development program. And the other is the Vocal Freedom Circle, which is an 8-module self-study program. And those 2 are available for you to buy at any time. And the Step Up to the Spotlight artist development program, the first module, we really focus on artistry and music, because that piece to really up-level it in ways that if you were being developed by a record label, you would be not beginner level, like really, but it can speak to the aspiring singer, because it's going to lift you up or take you from where you are and lift you up. And then we get into mindset, which is extremely important for mental health and understanding how to really do music and all of those pieces. And then module 3 is all about brand. So it's an overview of artist development. Module 4 is about creating your plan and your game plan. Module 5 has a 52-week artist development plan for how to write and record a record in a year, and why an album is still important. Singles first, but why an album is still important as a collection to really build your catalog, but then also to take it to the next level with your album, right? So it's not enough to be good. You have to be great. You have to stand out. You have to be more exceptional. And I have a very curated process for how to do that, which we go through in that 52-week plan. And then the final is really how to stand out, how to really have a niche in your marketing. It's very big on artist identity and all of those pieces. So those are those two programs that you can purchase at any time. And then I have my signature songwriting circle, which I lead live. That's a live program that'll start at the end of July this year. We do it once a year, every year in July. And that's where you come and you get the A&R artist identity process with me. And there is a VIP seat where you get to write with our team, our pro team of writers who have written hits. And so I'll talk about that more at a later date. And then I have my vocal mastery program, which is a year-long live program that's run every October, that you start with a vocal freedom circle. And then after you learn level 1, then you can come and join the vocal mastery program, which is level 2. And for a whole year, you work over Zoom with myself and a community of artists, and you learn level 2. And I think there's like 120, I think it's more than that, exercises in level 2. And I'm working on level 3 to launch next October as well. So you'll be able to come into level 2 or level 3, but you need Vocal Freedom Circle as a prerequisite to get into that program. So if you're serious about your voice, do not snooze, do not wait. Technique is a healthy vocal technique like this one that's based in biomechanics is everything to the singer. You have no idea what you are missing without doing it. You can take an average voice and turn it into an extraordinary one. You can heal from any damage that's happened. It's really quite extraordinary. So go and check it out. And thanks for joining me today. And thanks for staying and hanging out. And I will see you next Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern. And don't snooze on the sale. Go over to carriecole.com shop and see what offerings you can get at 30% off. And you can even get a private session at 30% off. So hope to see you all really soon and have a wildly creative week. Do everything with love, people. Everything with love in your heart will expand your universe and change your life. I'll see you soon. Bye.